What if the Lake of Tears was never meant to save anyone? What if every person who went looking for answers ended up becoming part of the town itself? From Season 4, Episode 4 might be one of the darkest episodes this show has ever done, because underneath all the time travel, monsters, and mythology, this episode quietly reveals something terrifying. The town is preparing for another cycle, and the people trapped inside it are slowly becoming the next generation of myths. This episode doesn't just push the mystery forward, it completely changes how we should view the man in yellow, Julie's story-walking powers, Fatima's transformation, and even the dead bodies, or scarecrows, inside that lake. Because for the first time in a long time, From finally starts connecting its horror to a bigger system. And honestly, some of the clues hidden in this episode are absolutely insane. So let's break down everything that happened in From Season 4, Episode 4, the hidden meanings behind the episode, and why the ending may have secretly revealed the true purpose of the town itself. The episode begins with everyone trying to process the discovery of the yellow suit. And what makes this scene so important isn't just the suit itself, it's Boyd's reaction. Boyd immediately tries to rationalize it. He says maybe it belonged to a previous resident. Maybe one of the creatures left it there. Maybe it's old. But Jade instantly notices the flaw in that logic. If the suit had always been there, someone would have found it already. That line matters because From keeps showing us that objects don't remain static in this town. Things appear when the town wants them to appear. The bracelet, the music box, the phone calls, the dummy, the kimono woman. The town introduces symbols at specific moments, and now the yellow suit has entered the game officially. What's really interesting here is Henry's reaction. For him, this is the moment where Miranda's paintings stop being abstract nightmares and become historical records. That changes everything, because if Miranda painted the man in yellow before ever meeting him, then it means the town leaks information across time. And that becomes the central theme of the entire episode. Not time travel, leakage, stories leaking into reality, memories leaking into people, past cycles leaking into the present. That's why Julie's theory later on is probably more important than most viewers realize. But before we get there, we need to talk about Boyd, because Boyd is exhausted. And for the first time in the series, he practically admits it. When Jade proposes taking mushrooms to unlock hidden memories, Donna understandably thinks it's insane. But Boyd's response is fascinating. He basically says, "We've been trapped here for 4 seasons and still don't know the rules." And honestly, that line almost feels meta, because Boyd finally sounds like the audience. He's tired of reacting, tired of surviving, tired of waiting for logic. Now he's willing to try anything. And that desperation is exactly what the town feeds on. That's the key to understanding this episode. Every character is reaching a breaking point. Boyd, Tabitha, Sarah, Fatima, Julie. And the closer they get to emotional collapse, the stronger the supernatural elements become. Look at Jade. He takes 3 mushrooms immediately. Not 1, 3. That's not curiosity anymore. That's desperation. But the important thing is what doesn't happen. The mushrooms don't give Jade answers. Instead, the episode redirects our attention toward Fatima. And this is where things start becoming deeply unsettling, because Fatima is no longer behaving like herself. At first, it seems symbolic. She's building a golem out of dirt and clay because she wants protection. But the deeper mythology behind golems makes this much scarier. In Jewish folklore, golems are not simply protectors. They're unstable creations, artificial life born from fear, grief, and desperation. And almost every golem story ends the same way. The creation becomes uncontrollable. That detail matters because Fatima outright says she feels connected to Smiley, not haunted by him, connected to him. That wording is terrifying because it suggests the creature born from her may not be separate from her consciousness at all. They may share emotions, and if Smiley feeds on fear, then Fatima trying to create a being powered by courage might actually be her attempt to fight back psychologically. But there's another possibility. What if Fatima isn't creating protection? What if she's unknowingly building a vessel, a new body, a new monster, a replacement? Remember what Kenny says? That's not Fatima anymore. The show treats that like emotional dialogue, but From loves hiding literal truths inside emotional scenes. And considering how Sophia is secretly the man in yellow in disguise, the idea of replacement suddenly becomes very possible. That brings us to Sophia herself, or rather, the man in yellow. This episode finally confirms something horrifying. He doesn't just manipulate events, he manipulates belief. The scene with Sarah is one of the creepiest scenes in the episode because the actual task she's given is meaningless. Pour water, drink it, pour it back. That's it. The action itself doesn't matter, the obedience does. The man in yellow is testing whether fear can still control Sarah, and this connects directly to the biblical references Sophia makes later. The Abraham story isn't random, it's about faith being tested through suffering. The town constantly frames itself like a religious experiment. People are isolated, punished, tempted, forced into impossible moral choices. And the man in yellow behaves less like a monster and more like a twisted God figure. Not Satan, not a demon, a tester. Someone trying to see how far human beings will go once hope disappears. That's why he enjoys breaking people psychologically more than physically killing them. Even the creatures at night don't just attack, they manipulate, they tempt, they smile. Everything in this town revolves around emotional collapse. And Sarah becoming vulnerable again is incredibly dangerous because she was one of the few people who previously resisted the voices. Now the cycle is restarting. And speaking of cycles, we need to talk about Julie, because her scenes may have secretly revealed the biggest clue in the entire season. Julie's Storywalker theory sounds ridiculous at first. Bookmarks, chapters, stories. But once you really think about it, it actually explains the entire mythology of From better than almost anything else. Julie realizes something crucial. The town behaves like a story. Characters repeat patterns, cycles reset, events echo across generations. And most importantly, people outside the town somehow dream about it. Miranda painted it. Authors write stories similar to it. Children imagine it. That means the town isn't fully contained. It leaks outward. And this may explain why the rules of From feel inconsistent sometimes. Because stories evolve. Different storytellers reinterpret the same myths differently. That's why the town contains elements from religion, fairy tales, folklore, cosmic horror, and children's stories all at once. It's becoming a giant narrative machine. And Julie might be the first person beginning to understand how to navigate it intentionally. Her failed bookmark experiment is important for another reason too. The man in yellow doesn't recognize her immediately. That detail is massive. Back in episode 1, he acted familiar with Julie, but here, he attacks her like she's a stranger. That means their encounters are happening out of order. Chronologically, this may actually be Julie's first meeting with him, which confirms something terrifying. Julie's story walking is no longer normal time travel. She's moving through fragmented narrative timelines, different versions of reality, different cycles, different chapters. And if that's true, then the town may not just exist in a loop. It may exist as overlapping stories constantly bleeding into each other. That would explain Boyd's disappearing ring too. The infinity symbol is not subtle. The ring appears, disappears, exists in two places. Almost like realities are overlapping temporarily. The town may be unstable because the cycles are collapsing into each other, and Victor seems to sense that more than anyone else. Victor measuring the trees again is one of the most important callbacks in the episode, because longtime viewers know the moving trees were always connected to changes in the cycle. Now, Victor says, the movement feels faster. That's bad, really bad, because it suggests the town is accelerating towards something. And then we get the reveal that completely changes the man in yellow forever. Victor saw him eating Miranda, not killing her, eating her. That's such an important distinction. The creatures usually kill, but the man in yellow consumes. That makes him feel older, more primal, more connected to the origin of the town itself. Almost like the regular monsters are just extensions of a bigger entity. And Victor befriending him as a child makes the reveal even more tragic, because it confirms the man in yellow can blend in perfectly. He doesn't need to hunt physically, he infiltrates emotionally first, exactly like Sophia is doing now. And honestly, that may be the scariest ability in the entire show, but none of this compares to the ending, because the lake changes everything. At first, the Lake of Tears feels like another fantasy quest. Ethan believes it can heal, bring back Jim, maybe even save everyone. Tabitha obviously doubts it, but the episode quietly sets up something interesting before they even arrive. The injured bird. That bird is symbolic. If the lake heals it, Ethan is right. If the bird dies, then the lake is something else entirely. And then the rope appears. Now here's where the theories become fascinating. At first glance, it looks like dead bodies underwater, but promotional footage strongly suggests they're actually scarecrows trapped in nets beneath the lake. And that detail may completely redefine the mythology of the town. Because scarecrows exist for one purpose, to keep things away, not to attack, to warn. That means the scarecrows might not be monsters at all. They may be markers, warnings left behind by previous survivors. Imagine this. A previous cycle discovered something horrible inside the woods, something connected to the lake. To stop others from going there, they created scarecrow guardians. But over time, the town corrupted them too. That would perfectly fit From's themes. Every attempt to create hope eventually becomes horror. And there's another terrifying possibility. What if the scarecrows are previous townspeople, not metaphorically, literally, preserved, transformed, repurposed? Think about how the town recycles trauma. People die, but traces of them remain. Voices, memories, visions. What if the lake preserves people between cycles? Not alive, not dead, just trapped. That would explain why the man in yellow seems connected to older timelines. Maybe he feeds off accumulated suffering across cycles. And maybe the lake is where failed escape attempts end up, which would make Ethan's mission deeply tragic because he thinks the lake represents rebirth. But it may actually represent the graveyard of everyone who tried to escape before him. And honestly, that would perfectly fit From. Hope always exists in this show. But hope is dangerous. Every time someone believes they found the answer, the town punishes them. Jim searched for signals. Boyd searched for answers. Tabitha searched for the lighthouse. Jade searched for patterns. And now Ethan's for the Lake of Tears. The deeper someone digs into the mythology of the town, the more violently the town reacts. Which raises the biggest question of all. What if the town survives by keeping people trapped in endless searching? Not physically trapped, narratively trapped, constantly chasing meaning, constantly creating stories. And that's why the final image of the lake is so disturbing, because it doesn't feel like they discovered the truth. It feels like the town wanted them to find it. And in From, that's usually the moment everything gets worse. Ending outro. But what do you think was inside the lake? Were those really dead bodies? Scarecrows? Former townspeople? Or something even worse? And do you think the man in yellow is the true mastermind of the town, or just another creature trapped inside the cycle himself? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because From Season 4 is getting crazier every single episode. And we're only getting started.